How does one measure something in baseball as the greatest? The national pastime has existed for over a century and a half and has provided such a breadth of moments, players, and statistics that it's a rare opportunity to speak on anything definitively. On May 26, 1959, Harvey Haddix, a veteran pitcher for the Pirates, produced one of these defining moments in the sport's history. Throwing 115 pitches over more than 12 innings of work, Haddix pitched the greatest game of all time, and he walked off the field a loser. Welcome to The Bad Baseball Fan. More after the intro. Harvey Haddix Jr., from the modest farm town of Westville, Ohio, never actually pitched until his senior year of high school. Upon graduating, he successfully tried out for the Cardinals organization at an open tryout in Columbus, but had to defer his baseball career until the end of World War II. Farm boys got an exemption from the draft, but only if they were solely employed by their farm. Thus, Harvey had to go home to work and wouldn't get to play ball again until 1947. Haddix pitched 4 years in the minor leagues, being named an All-Star in each year, as well as earning the nickname Kitten. The nickname coming from his resemblance to then Cardinals pitcher Harry the Cat Burkeen. Improving year over year and establishing himself as one of the best young pitchers in the minor leagues, Harvey's contract was sold to the Cardinals on September 9, 1950. Unfortunately, before he could make it to St. Louis, he was drafted into the Army to serve during the Korean War. Haddix served 2 years at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and in August of 1952, he was released from service, joining the Cardinals and throwing a complete game against the Boston Braves in his first career outing. Haddix had a phenomenal start to his big league career, making the All-Star game in each of his first 3 full seasons. Unfortunately, in 1956, after being deemed untouchable by the Cardinals front office, he was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, where he pitched inconsistently in his nearly 2 seasons there. After the 1957 season, the Phillies traded Haddix to the Reds, his childhood team. Haddix, addressing issues with his windup in 1958, pitched to an 8-7 record with a 3.52 ERA, and yet another trade was made, this time to the Pirates, a team that was looking to contend for a World Series. Harvey got off to a sharp start for the Bucks, pitching to a 4-2 record as he stepped on the mound for our fateful day. His 2 losses were a direct result of a serious lack of run support provided by the Pirates lineup, a problem that, as we shall see, would continue to persist. Finally, we've arrived to the game. It's May 26, 1959, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The weather was overcast, and Haddix woke up feeling similar. He likely contracted the flu and bemoaned the fact that he had to pitch later that day. Not just pitch, but square off against the best lineup by far in the National League. What's more, Milwaukee pitcher Bob Buell recounted later that the Braves had stole Haddix's signs throughout the entire game. According to Buell, Pirates catcher Smokey Burgess couldn't bend over very far, allowing signs to be seen clearly from the outfield bullpen. With all this working against him, Haddix arrived at the ballpark and warmed up. In front of 19,194 fans visiting Milwaukee's County Stadium that night, Lou Burdett, alleged spitballer, kicked off the game at 8 p.m. on the dot. What followed was 2 hours and 54 minutes of the purest baseball. Burdett got the game started quick with a 1-2-3 inning, a phrase we all better get quite cozy with. The bottom of the first led off with Milwaukee's Johnny O'Brien, a middling second baseman in the last year of his career, a career whose potential was likely stunted by the bonus rule. First pitch ground out to shortstop, and we're off and running. Then steps up future Hall of Famer and power-hitting third baseman Eddie Matthews, who was able to work a full count before lining out to first. That would be Haddix's last 3-ball count until the last inning of the game. Our third challenger was none other than Hammerin' Hank Aaron, Hall of Famer, home run king, and arguably the greatest all-around hitter in the history of baseball. 5 pitches and all he got was a lazy fly out to center. 1-2-3 set down and a nice quick first inning. The Pirates managed a hit in the top of the second before negating it with a double play and a strikeout to end the side. The bottom of the second saw Haddix pick things up against Joe Adcock, one of the hardest hitting first basemen in the history of the game and an important piece to this story later. Adcock worked a 2-2 count before striking out swinging. Next up was left fielder Wes Covington, a man whose potential was once thought to be that of Hank Aaron, and all he could manage was an easy 3-pitch ground out to second. Then stepped up Del Crandall, who when he made his debut became the youngest starting catcher in MLB history. He took his try and grounded out to Don Hoke at third. The whole inning took Haddix 10 pitches, and despite his condition, he was settling in. The Pirates' first real scoring opportunity occurred in the top of the third as they scraped together 3 hits, but base running mishaps and bad luck allowed Lou Burdett to escape unscathed. Harvey took his place in the mound for the bottom of the third. Batting 7th was Braves center fielder Andy Pafko. A solid career outfielder, Pafko may best be remembered as the left fielder that watched Bobby Thompson's shot heard round the world go over his head. He had little effect against Haddix leading off the third, hitting a first pitch fly ball to right field. Haddix's next adversary, 4-time All-Star shortstop Johnny Logan, had no better luck, managing a 3-pitch lineout to shortstop. And finally, the last man in the Braves' daunting lineup, Haddix's direct counterpart, Lou Burdett. Burdett, who threw 3 complete game victories in the 1957 World Series, was a great pitcher for the duration of his career, but his abilities at the plate were less than apt. 3 pitches, and Haddix showed him the pine, 9 men in a row to start the game. Inning number 4 was more of the same for both sides. The Pirates managed a 2-out hit to center, but made nothing of it, and Haddix returned to the mound to retire O'Brien with a backwards K, and both Matthews and Aaron with fly balls to center field. Haddix, having 2 pitches to choose from, a fastball and a slider, didn't seem to mind his pitches being stolen too much. The Bucks were able to manage another hit in the top of the 5th. However, Haddix ended up hurting his own cause by grounding into a double play to end the inning and diminish any small threat of scoring. The bottom of the 5th was likely the easiest inning Harvey pitched all night. A 2-pitch ground ball to third by Adcock and 2 first-pitch fly balls to left field off the bats of Covington and Crandall. 4 pitches, 1-2-3. It should be noted at this point that the crowd of over 19,000 Braves fans were becoming aware of what was happening. Per Oliver Keekley of the Milwaukee Journal, the loyal Braves crowd of 19,194 slowly became a Haddix crowd. At the finish, they were almost solidly Haddix. They couldn't help themselves. One of those 19,000 Braves faithful just so happened to be a 24-year-old Bud Selig, future commissioner of baseball. The top of the 6th provided another 1-2-3 inning for the Pirates and another quick trip to the mound for Lou Burdett, who was beginning to find his groove as his counterpart was beginning to make history. The bottom of the inning was more of the same. Pafko popped out to first on the 3rd pitch, Logan rolled over to shortstop on the 2nd pitch, and then Lou Burdett stepped to the plate and fanned on 3 pitches again. 18 men in a row. Both the 7th and the 8th innings blew by without a runner getting on base for either side, though it should be noted that a deep fly ball to right in the 7th off the bat of Bob Skinner looked like a goner for sure before the wind brought it back and dropped it right into Hank Aaron's mitt. The Pirates' second real scoring chance came and went. Burdett, now matching Haddix pitch for pitch, had retired 13 consecutive batters heading into the 9th inning. Haddix decisively sat down O'Brien, Matthews, and Aaron in the 7th on 8 pitches, then proceeded to retire Adcock, Covington, and Crandall on 7 pitches. Haddix was putting the ball exactly where he wanted it. The Bucks threatened once again in the top of the 9th with 2 base hits and a 2-out first and third situation. Bob Skinner stepped up to the plate, but could only produce an easy grounder back to Lou Burdett, who, once again, weathered the storm and emerged unscathed. Haddix left the dugout, knowing the best-case scenario ending to this game included extra innings. Sick as hell, exhausted, and with his sign still being stolen, he took the mound. Andy Pafko led off the 9th, and Harvey fanned him on 4 pitches. Johnny Logan, anxious to get anything going, attacked the first pitch and flew out to left field. Then Lou Burdett, once again, stepped to the plate and struck out swinging. 27 men in a row lined up and made to walk the plank. The first pitcher in National League history, kind of, to accomplish this feat. No time to stop, though, no space to reflect nor celebrate. There's still baseball to be played. Despite Haddix's historic performance, his counterpart Burdett was nearly as sharp all night long. I guess that's just baseball. Lou Burdett returned to the bump for the top of the 10th, surrendering a single to Don Hoke, but other than that, he took care of business. Then out came Harv, on the verge of breaking a record without even being aware of it. See, perfect games had happened in baseball before, 2 specifically in the National League, though those both happened in 1880, within a week of each other, before pitchers made the switch to overhand throwing, and when the foul bounds rule was still in place. Thus, the legitimacy of these can easily be argued. Still though, there had been 4 perfect games in the American League prior to Harvey's historic night. Cy Young in 1904, Addie Joss in 1908, Charlie Robertson in 1922, and of course, Don Larson's World Series gem in 1956. None of them were required to pitch past the 9th inning. Every prior perfect game was accomplished with 27 men in a row. Now Harvey would have to push past that, and push past it he did. The Braves went to their bench to open extra innings, calling on 2-sport athlete and 17-year MLB catcher Del Rice to pinch hit for Johnny O'Brien. He saw 4 pitches and managed a deep fly ball to center, and he was replaced at second by Felix Mantilla the next inning. 28. Eddie Matthews took his turn and connected with the first pitch, another fly ball to center field. 29. And then the great Henry Aaron, first pitch ground ball to shortstop. 30 men in a row and on to the 11th inning. Unfortunately for our protagonist, Lou Burdett kept cruising. Another one-hit inning for the Braves hurler who is now 11 shutout innings deep. Haddix took the mound again, completely exhausted, and setting a record with each subsequent batter he faced. First up was Joe Adcock, who grounded out to short on the first pitch. 31. Wes Covington, 2-pitch line out to center. 32. And finally, Del Crandall, who on the third pitch hit a fly ball to center. 33 men in a row. Mind-blowing, impossible to wrap the brain around. Haddix, seemingly pushing past his limits, miraculously maintained complete control over the game. The Pirates' anemic offense managed to hit in the top of the 12th, but that's as far, once again, as the threat got. Harvey had to take the mound amidst history, but only hoping to send the game into the 13th. Andy Pafko saw 5 pitches and grounded right back to Haddix. 34. Johnny Logan got 4 pitches and flew out to center. 35. And Lou Burdett made his way up to the mound and for the first time that night managed a ball and played at third. But regardless, he was yet another casualty to the unstoppable machine that was Harvey Haddix. 4 times through the order, everybody out. One had to wonder, was it bad luck for the hometown Braves or divine intervention for old Harvey? Haddix would not be had and showed no signs of slowing down. 36 men in a row. Lou Burdett took the mound once more, wondering, along with every person in the ballpark, and every person watching this video, if the game would ever end. Burdett, for his part, continued to pitch efficiently. The top of the 13th once more saw a single from the Pirates, but nothing else. Bottom of the 13th, sick old Harvey made his way back to the mound, looking to extend his record and his team's chances in this early season game. First batter to face Haddix was 11-year utility man Felix Mantilla. Mantilla saw 4 pitches before hitting a routine grounder to Don Hoke at third base. What should have been the 37th batsman retired in a row ended up being a throw in the dirt from Hoke. An error, and the Braves finally managed their first base runner, 37 batters in, and not even on their own merit. The perfect game, the longest consecutive batters retired record, both over in the blink of an eye. Eddie Matthews then stepped up and laid down a well-placed sacrifice bunt, moving Mantilla to second and setting up the Braves with their first scoring opportunity of the game. Hammer and Hank made his way to the batter's box, and Haddix gave him a free pass. This walk, done intentionally, was only Haddix's second 3-ball count of the evening, and first since the first inning. No worries, the no-hitter's still intact. Haddix just needed to force a ground ball from Joe Adcock to get out of the inning and postpone the end to the endless game. First pitch, ball 1 to Adcock. Second pitch, caught just a little too much of the plate, and Adcock connected. Both center fielder and right fielder converged, but to no avail, and the ball soared over the fence. Just like that, the no-hitter was over, the game was over, and Harvey had lost. There was controversy with the home run, which I'll get into next, but regardless, the winning run came across, and all Haddix had for his historic effort was, in his words after the game, just another loss, and that's no good. Lou Burdett, for his part, the next day would ask for a raise, claiming he was the winner in the greatest game ever pitched. To explain the controversy surrounding the home run, let's turn to Joe Posnanski, who in his book Why We Love Baseball states, technically, it wasn't a home run. Aaron, who was on first base, thought the ball hit the wall, so after Mantilla scored the winning run, Aaron cut across the infield and into the dugout. Adcock, who knew it was a home run, surrounded the bases as he normally would. That means he passed Aaron. In the end, Aaron was ruled out and Adcock's homer was reduced to a double. A week later, the National League ruled the final score to be 2-0, which makes almost no sense given that Aaron was out and Adcock hit a double. Regardless, it didn't matter, because the Braves won the game. Haddix threw the greatest game of all time, and he lost. Harvey Haddix had a good career. Over 14 seasons, he accumulated 33.3 WAR, a 136 and 113 record, and a 3.63 ERA. He was the winning pitcher in Game 7 of the 1960 World Series, a 3-time Gold Glove winner, and a 3-time All-Star. Regardless of any of his accomplishments, he would rarely go a day for the rest of his life without having to discuss his imperfect game. He was forever remembered as the man who threw 12 perfect innings. Baseball is just an unfair sport. Poignantly, this whole affair was summed up very well in a postcard sent to Haddix by a Texas A&M fraternity following the loss. "Dear Harvey," the letter read, "tough shit." A comical, if not harsh, bow tie on top of this story. Though tough shit indeed, that message, in its own way, embodied the essence of the sport of baseball. Sometimes a ball player has one of the greatest days in history, and yet we lose it to time because his team couldn't come up with timely hitting. Tough shit indeed. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and stay on the lookout for more content in the future.